Whispers float in empty halls. Footsteps echo down the walls. Shadows break where secrets lie. Every echo holds a hidden sign. Blow the trace along the crime, a hush that haunts the night, a fear that lives in light. Unravel lines of twisted lies. In the dark, the story waits unseen.
And here we go.
Hi, I'm Rochelle, the Psychic Sleuth. Spirit shows me patterns across past, present, and future. What comes through can be symbolic, metaphoric, or not always literal, though sometimes it is. Messages often carry multiple meanings that weave together through energetic tracking, prophetic sequencing, and blueprint mapping. I know I talk fast sometimes, it's just how spirit flows through me. You can always replay or slow down if you need to. I triple check what I receive with astrology and cards, but this isn't about being 100% right. It's about truth, responsibility, and integrity. I'm the one sitting with spirit on these cases, so this is a space for truth seeking, not debate. Please respect the work. If you can't honor spirit, this may not be the place for you. And before we start, I want to make something clear. My process has evolved for a reason. I don't use sitters anymore. I don't do live channeling on heavy cases, and I won't be performing on command. That's not safe, it's not accurate, and it pulls the work off track. I work the way spirit directs me, through mediumship, pattern recognition, astrology validation, cards when needed, and prophetic sequencing. Every layer strengthens the message and protects the integrity of the case. Please don't tell me how to do my job. This isn't about entertainment. It's about truth, responsibility, and helping families. If my style isn't for you, that's okay. But this is how I work, and this is how the work stays accurate. If my work resonates, the best way to help is through community support for Justice's Cadaver Dog Training Fund. It doesn't take huge donations. Even the cost of a coffee adds up when many give. Shop new merch and help Justice on his mission. Links to my shop and donation page are pinned below. Every purchase helps fund the work. Thank you for being here. Now let's get on to today's case. I don't normally work cases where someone's already been arrested. Most of my focus is on unsolved disappearances or unknown offenders, but Isabella's case pulled me in early, even before an arrest was made. Arizona cases always seem to catch my energy, and this one in particular wouldn't let me go. At the time, I was deep in another investigation and I couldn't dive in immediately, but once I did, everything started to click. The chart was clear, the energy was direct, and I was able to read the perpetrator's psychology almost instantly. Even with someone in custody, Isabella is still missing, and that's where I'm called to step in. This reading reflects my intuitive impressions, forensic profiling, symbolic visions, and spiritual insights received while working on the disappearance of Isabella Comas. As a clairsensory investigator, I combine traditional crime mapping with psychic reception and astrology-based patterning, summary of the energies, psychological impressions, and scene overlays that I've received so far. What we know is that Isabella went to meet this man, someone she had either been romantically or emotionally entangled with. This was not a spontaneous encounter. Spirit showed me manipulated departure, allure. He likely contacted her under the pretense of wanting to talk, reconcile, or settle things. But the real intention was to regain control, not to find closure. Isabella may have been trying to leave or emotionally disconnect. I feel she had started pulling away, and that terrified him. Not because of love, but because of power, possession, and ego collapse. This is someone who doesn't cope well with rejection. In my visions and card pools, several layers of violence appear. Blunt force trauma, something sudden, possibly during a struggle. Asphyxiation, the energy feels smothering, possibly strangulation. And I can't breathe all of a sudden. Sharp force trauma. This came through as a secondary method and an attempt to finish the act. There may have been something severed. I don't feel this was premeditated in a murder or traditional sense. It was premeditated control event that escalated violently. He wanted to dominate the situation. She resisted. There's something chaotic here. Like it spiraled fast, and after it happened, I feel a strong cover-up energy and immediate panic. The moon isn't in a playful, romantic, or creative fifth house here in the Placidus chart. In whole sign, it's in the sixth house of control, domination, and servitude. She was not with someone she trusted. She was trapped in his pattern. Astrologically and intuitively, this is volatile, jealous, paranoid, and male energy. He exhibits control addiction, inability to process loss or rejection, sudden rage when ego is threatened, may have had a narcissistic or antisocial personality, possible drug or underground crime ties. I pulled the possession obsession archetype repeatedly. She was not a person to him, she was a possession. And when she began to pull away, he began to unravel. This is a man with serial tendencies, not necessarily serial in number, but in the psychological structure. Dual natured, cold when crossed, and driven by a need for control, dominance, and erasure. He likely viewed her as property, and when she tried to leave, it wasn't just rejection, it was humiliation, a loss of power. That shift triggered a calculating unraveling. The chart shows Mars at an energetic 29-degree, a point of explosive, fated aggression, placed in the 8th house of death and control and hidden matters, exactly where he would act out this breaking point. With Pluto in the Sun and Mercury also in the house, his actions were methodical, layered, and aimed to complete disappearance. He breaks things down and makes them vanish, psychologically, spiritually, and physically. This is the final act of possession. He shows himself as the one in control. There's a lot of Capricorn energy, not just authority, but obsession. And with all of that in the house of the other, we know this was not someone who let go easily. He latched on and controlled the narrative. The 7th house is loaded relational motive. Moon in Scorpio, wounded emotional manipulation, and Pluto Mars possession, intensity, revenge. Jilted lover equals karmic repetition of cases like this where the man cannot accept a no or a severing. This archetype has shown up in other cases like domestic abuse, stalking, and murder-suicide patterns, a red flag that keeps repeating. A self-destructive core, someone who would rather burn everything down, including themselves, than lose control. The act of killing is deeply tied to the killer's own sense of collapse, ego death, or existential unraveling. The person may fantasize about suicide, use it as leverage, or project the energy onto others. If I can't have you, no one can. Classic jilted lover spiral. The chart and cards in channeling reflect strong indicators of substance use and altered mental states that may have influenced behavior in this case. Neptune's prominent placement highlights themes of drugs, alcohol, escapism, and distorted perception, particularly in connection with pleasure-seeking, impulsivity, and relationships. This influence, combined with aggressive and obsessive signatures elsewhere in the chart, suggests a pattern where intoxication or substance could amplify paranoia, emotional volatility, and loss of control. Rather than clear, rational decision making, the energy points to confusion, denial, and psychological disassociation. Conditions that can escalate already existing control issues into sudden, violent, or reckless actions. This aligns with patterns of psychosis, impaired judgment, and behavior driven by fantasy, entitlement, or rage rather than reality. It's possible that the suspect was under the influence at the time Isabella went to meet him, which may have heightened his volatility and triggered a more dangerous escalation than either anticipated. The chart contains strong Neptunian themes linked to alcohol, drugs, and altered mental states, and the card pulls echoed psychosis, emotional instability, and impaired judgment. This suggests that he may be one of those individuals who becomes significantly more dangerous under the influence, especially if already prone to control issues or emotional imbalance. If she was trying to reason with him, break away, or hold boundaries during that meeting, the combination of substances and obsession could have turned the situation fatal very quickly. It's often a power loss archetype. The killer's control slips, so they lash out in a way that annihilates both themselves symbolically or energetically and their target. One of the most telling behaviors is that the suspect continued driving Isabella's vehicle even after she vanished. This shows deeply narcissistic belief that he won't be caught, that she won't be found. He likely feels confident that he's erased the evidence well enough to spin a casual excuse. So she let me borrow it, or she gave it to me. This type of behavior is classic in controlling personalities who assume they can manipulate perception after the fact. The lack of urgency, the comfort of being seen with her car, it all speaks to someone who believes they've closed the loop, disposed of the problem, and now just needs to bluff his way through any questioning. This isn't panic, it's ego and calculated confidence in concealment. One of the clearest energies in the cards that he's not operating alone. There's a shadow person, not spiritual but literal, someone behind the scenes who may be helping him cover up, providing access to dumping grounds or locations, possibly involved in other illegal activity, trafficking, stolen cars, etc. Could be tied to junkyard, auto shop, mechanic spaces. The figure might be an older male or family connected contact with underworld ties. I don't feel like this person participated in the violence, but they were helping conceal. Another layer that came through powerfully, both in the cards and intuitive imagery, is the symbolism of trafficking, drug movement, and underground trade. I saw vehicles used for hiding or moving drugs, him loading something into a hidden compartment of a car, an environment that felt like a chop shop, junkyard, or industrial park, waste materials, water runoff, or sand gravel nearby. He works off books, possibly doing dirty mechanic work with access to discard sites. These are not confirmed locations, but energetic pools and repeated themes. South-southeast direction from where she was last seen or where the car was found. Industrial zone waste recycling areas, maybe near train tracks, sand piles, or vehicle graveyards. Water runoff nearby, not a body of water, but drainage, sewage, or industrial water channels, possibly hidden within junk or buried beneath cover materials. Spirit keeps pulling me downward on the map toward low-lying, less patrolled terrain where waste and broken down materials are dumped. From the beginning of this case, the cards spoke loudly. The first locations that came up were junkyard, container, storage. At first, I was thinking the terms of dump or landfill, but then I remembered I had a specific landfill card and it didn't pull. That made me reassess. Spirit gave me the phrase mechanic intuitively, and I started wondering what he did for work. When we looked closer, we saw that it wasn't trash. It was metal junk, scraps, materials that matched the symbolic clues and astrological markers. The chart itself had references to liquids, containers, chemicals, and heat, further pointing to controlled environment like junk, lot, or industrial zone where fire, fluids, and metal overlap. This all points to a concealment in the storage-like container or near a junk site, possibly one linked to his job or an associate site. The psychological thread here is possession. He came through in the cards not as a boyfriend, but as a spouse. Well, he came through both, but one time he came through as a spouse. Well, not be literal, it reflects how he saw her as something he owned and refused to lose. One additional and significant pattern that emerged repeatedly involves containment and chemical-related concealment. Multiple symbolic indicators pointed to drums, barrels, sealed industrial containers rather than exposure or surface disposal. The reoccurring burning and fire symbolism does not feel like conventional fire scene, but instead aligns with chemical burn, breakdown, and degradation, suggesting the possible use of industrial chemicals, solvents, or substances associated with mechanical, recycling, or industrial work environments. There's also a strong impression that Isabella may not be completely intact, indicating potential dismemberment or partial separation followed by placement with a container or receptacle. This container may be stored among may be stored among other industrial materials, scrap, junk, rather than buried in a traditional sense, effectively concealed by blending in with surrounding debris. This reinforces the importance of examining sealed drums, barrels, locked bins, totes, tanks, or containers located at or near junkyards or scrapyards, recycling or industrial waste facilities, mechanic shops or off-books work locations, properties or sites connected to the suspect's employment history, associates, or known hangouts. The concealment method appears deliberate and functional, consistent with someone familiar with industrial environments, storage practices, or underground operations. When recalculating from the location of the vehicle, because I originally calculated from his house or the street, the updated direction path leads approximately 7.1 miles southeast with a heading of 140 degrees. This places the endpoint at the industrial zone surrounding the Phoenix Recycling Center and Waste Management Facility near 33rd Avenue. This area also includes several other scrapyards, metal recycles, and refuse-related businesses, as well as my railroad tracks that I was looking for. Given the proximity to her last phone activity, or where the phone was found, and the nature of surroundings, I believe this zone may be more relevant for focused review or expansion of the search, especially areas with containers, fencing, or concealed dumping areas. Last night, I kept pulling in water repeatedly. I didn't keep it because it just didn't fit. At first, it didn't line up until I thought about it today after sleeping on it. I had already said she wasn't in literal water based on the chart. It was giving Capricorn, Virgo, and Earth energy, solid, grounded, not Piscean or Neptunian. But the persistence of that in water card kept gnawing at me, and now I realize it might not be water in the natural sense because there's still fluids on the chart. It may represent a chemical water or industrial fluids, and when you layer that over astrology, something that stood out both astrologically and symbolically was the persistent presence of liquid-based themes. While I initially dismissed the repeated in water card as not fitting since the chart wasn't giving literal water elements, it became clear that spirit was pointing to something symbolic, not literal. The chart leans heavy into Capricorn, which rules industrial zones, containment, and degradation. And Mars rules action through force, often through metal, heat, and chemicals. I also noticed a Scorpio undertone, which rules toxins, decay, control, and secret destruction. When all of this is blended together, the water isn't about rivers or lakes, it's about chemical fluids possibly used to clean, burn, or break down evidence. It could also reflect her being stored near or around liquid materials such as drums, cleaning agents, oil, or chemical runoff tied to junk or salvage yard. Spirit was loud with that, pointing not to nature but to chemical erasure, just like his psychology. During the course of working this case, I've personally experienced severe cold and sudden physical sickness twice around 91st Street, along with a notable headache and energetic depletion that was distinct from physical illness. I also felt it at the site I ended up with the astrology, that I didn't know that was the correct area. So these symptoms are not random. They correlate with areas I now believe hold residual trauma or concealment markers, potentially connected to either the location of Isabella's body or an intermediary disposal point. There is a circle back pattern that keeps resurfacing, not just symbolically, but through repeated signs pointing to places already searched or logged, especially near where the car and phone were recovered. I believe something critical was either overlooked or intentionally hidden in plain sight during those initial passes. This includes containers or ground level concealment sites that may blend in with the surrounding materials or junk. So basically, also, if her phone was found in this area that I ended up at, because I don't know if that's the right recycling area where her phone was, because they did not say where, but that's where the astrology leads. It leads to a recycling thing. Doesn't mean maybe not specific recycling area, but the energetic corridor around it needs to be relooked at, basically, or the energetic corridor around where her phone was and her car. But I think specifically the phone. In addition, I pulled cards neighbor and surveillance right beside one another. This strongly suggests that there may be an individual in the vicinity, a neighbor, a local business, or adjacent property owner who has footage or visual memory of something relevant without realizing its significance. This could be partial camera angle, a vehicle timestamp, or someone coming or going around the key window. It's worth re-engaging with known properties in the area to check if any secondary cameras may have been overlooked or if the data is still recoverable. Psychologically, the suspect appears dual-natured, capable of charm and manipulation, yet harboring a cold, methodical undercurrent. He displays traits commonly associated with predatory behavior, including a lack of remorse, control fixation, and an impulse to erase evidence as if erasing the person. And to him, Isabella ceased to be a person the moment she defied his control. She became an object to be discarded, hidden, and obliterated. Astrologically, his markers also reflect this breakdown pattern. Someone used to destroying, disassembling, and chemically erasing things. Whether this is due to prior criminal activity or through underground mechanical or disposal work, it informs the likely method of concealment and the reason he may feel safe even though the case is active. While working this case also, I experienced burning sensation in the back of my legs for several days. No medical cause. Another trusted colleague also reported the same symptom while working this case with me. These echoes documented phenomena in mediumship cases where body receives echoes of the victim's pain or trauma as a signal. I mention this to note that there may be chemical exposure, burn-related trauma, or post-mortem concealment near chemicals or solvents connected to the case. From the chart snapshot, Gemini rising, trickery, duality, potential for double lives. Mars in Scorpio in the 6th, hidden violence, controlling work environment. House suggests deep betrayal, shadow dynamics, and victimization themes. Pluto and Capricorn in the 8th, death through control, secrets buried. First ties to psychological instability and working with dangerous tools or fire metal. I believe this was rage-fueled homicide, rooted in control, jealousy, and ego collapse. There are indicators of cover-up with possible help from a criminal associate. The likely final location, Isabella Fields, south-southeast near industrial, chemical, or junkyard adjacent terrain, hidden, blended in debris or refuse. This case may evolve as more insights arise. I remain committed to truth, justice, and the spirit of Isabella. And one thing I've been reflecting on, especially with those following my work or learning astrology, is how different a case feels when Neptune is dominant in the chart. In the Tepes case, for example, it has strong Neptune aspects, which creates fog, distortion, misdirection, and often feeling the timelines don't make sense or there's confusion. That's why I kept circling that case. The confusion was baked into the chart. But in Isabella's, it's different. Neptune is present, but not in a focal point. Instead, we have Mars, Pluto, Saturn all emphasized. That gives us narrative of force, control, and decisive action. That clarity is rare, and I felt it psychically too. This case was easier to read, and that usually means the truth wants to come to the surface faster. This case came through with rare clarity, and like previous charts, clouded by Mars and Neptune fog, like the Tepes, or overlapping stories. This one presented with a blunt patterns and direct messages, and I was able to kind of read his psychology because I recognize it. A sign that spirit is trying to pierce the veil of fear and silence surrounding her disappearance. I have already submitted a detailed email tip to the Avondale Police Department, as I did not feel comfortable calling due to the depth and specifics of the information. To the family or loved ones of Isabella, if this resonates, or if you would like additional insight or maps to support recovery efforts, please feel free to reach out. I offer this with integrity and soul-led desire and truth resolution. This is what came through. May it be heard. And I just hate to say that I see Isabella in my mind's eye, and she's sending love to her family, and I'm getting like, I don't know, does she have a sister? Does anybody, you have to let me know if she has a sister or someone that was like a sister. But it's like this. And I keep getting like, I'm sorry. So I don't know if it's like, I'm sorry for like it's almost like she feels sorry for putting herself around this person that I feel was dual natured and tricked her. And then it was like, once she got in, she couldn't get out. And I don't know if there's other things surrounding. I don't want to. There's things that I think it's more than just drug trafficking. I think there's other sorts of trafficking he's involved with, and I don't know how that relates to her. But it kind of feels like it's around the situation in some way, shape, or form. But I also feel like she started to see things or know things maybe she shouldn't have seen or known, and it complicated the situation. But definitely she was trying to break the ties and get away from him, and I feel like she's now realizing things that she didn't realize before, and she knew he was dangerous, and that was the thing, is I feel like she was buying time before she could escape. And so I feel like she was really, when she was happy, she was really bubbly and stuff. But there's now coming in where she was sort of scared and unsure and trying to figure out which direction she was going to go. I don't know if she found things out about his past or if he finally showed a true nature, because I get some neglect and abuse coming in through that, where he started to show his true colors, and I don't know how long they've been together. There's a reference to 6 months that's coming in, so I don't know if anybody can relate that at all. That may be relevant to the relationship or whatever. This is why I haven't been able to breathe. See, this is, I have everything written out because I worked the case before, but I don't know, this is weird. Sometimes it's coming through. She's a pretty strong spirit. Like I said, she's I think she's really wanting her family to know, like, that in a way she's okay. She said she was tricked. So again, I get that. Manipulated, departure, lured, tricked, that sort of thing. And then there's a loss of control. And there's just, again, severe violence that takes place. That it came to a point where it couldn't have been stopped. Nothing could have been done at that point. She couldn't get away. And I feel like she says, I just should have went home. So I don't know. I know that they said she was going to work, but there's something about, like, maybe she's realizing maybe she should have went home. She should have went for help. I feel like maybe she's saying she should have even went to the police department with things that she knew, but she was afraid, or she should have went to the police department with things that she felt about him, because there might be secrets that maybe he divulged when he was under the influence or something as well. And it was like, also, I can't let you go because you know these things. And he has like a stalking pattern, I know, in his past. And it's kind of that too. And I get like the obsessive rage. Like, she was almost too scared to leave, if that makes sense. Like, she was trying to figure out how. And I feel like it came up. I feel like it came up at this point. And this is what I mean by sometimes spirit comes through stronger, sometimes cases are easier to read than others. That's why I try to go where I'm led, because the last case was really tough. But this one, she's very strong. And also, I'm going back to, do you guys remember in Elijah's case where I kept getting reference to barrels? They were blue, I think, in that vision, and they were at a work. And now I'm like wondering, because if anybody knows anything about my interconnects, that's how they work. And I'll get things way ahead of time in other cases. And maybe if there's a similarity in something about that case, I don't know why it would have came in during that specific case. My back just started itching. So I'm being reminded of that, and I realized it earlier, and I was like, well, maybe that's this. Because again, like, he's very confident she's not going to be found. I don't know why she's showing me like her, like, I know her hair was pink, but she showed me, like, I don't know if it was ever black, because she switched it to black. So I don't know if it was black before or dark. I don't know why she's showing me that. But I do feel like she had the type of personality that people maybe clung to. If I remember right, her birthday is I think it's July 26th, if she's a Leo, so that would make sense, which I totally forgot till now. Leos are very vibrant. People are attracted to them. They're usually confident. It's kind of bold. They're kind of bold. So that would make sense with her hair, too. And also, I feel like she's saying, like, she was young and naive in a way. And, like, I feel like, again, she was love bombed. She was taken advantage of when she kind of, like, being younger, and sort of him coming in as the I'll take care of you energy. And maybe he like, I don't know if, because I know he's like living in a garage, but I'm just wondering if ahead of time, if he had more money, or if he had more money than he pretended to have, and he lived like that to stay under the radar. So, I don't know, all that stuff. I just got that huge download right now. But basically, she needs them to know, regardless of what happens, she's okay. because I think that if they don't ever find her, whatever, I don't know if they have this specific belief. I don't know, some family members, there's some kind of specific belief that she has. I keep getting split beliefs. Like one's more like native beliefs and one's more like Catholic beliefs. And so I don't know if they think like if she's not found, she's going to be stuck. And she's saying it's not like that. Because again, if they don't, like I don't know if they'll ever be able to found any part of her or not. But it's just from the way it's coming across in the everything. It just depends. Maybe one day, if the cops don't find her, she'll be ran across. But at this point, unfortunately, I feel like they're more focused on him than they are finding her. He's so narcissistic, I'm not really sure about a confession. Maybe at some point with a deal. I don't know. But July's your birthday, though. She took me to the middle of the year, like July. So I don't know why that's coming in. Maybe she's found around July, around her birthday. And I'm saying that because she's reminding me of Celeste Rivas, and Celeste Rivas was literally found like the day after her birthday. So I'm just wondering if that's like a timeline thing she's giving me. I feel like she tried to, like, she was really bold in how she presented herself, how she dressed, how she looked, things she did. I feel like she had like a group of friends. But I feel like maybe at some point she became kind of distant from them due to the relationship. I don't feel like her friends or even family approved of this guy, and maybe that's why she's saying she's sorry. Like they didn't approve of how, like, who he was and stuff, and I feel like there was red flags and warnings that they tried to warn her, maybe she didn't listen to, and that's another reason for saying she's sorry. And I'm hearing, I don't know, there's a grandmother energy. I don't know if it's with her or like here that she's pointing to, but she says, you know how it is being attracted to the bad boys. But I also feel like, I don't know if I just feel like in too deep. And again, she's talking about illusion and being fooled until like a certain point, and that's why she was leaving the relationship. There's a reference to stars. So I don't know if she had a thing with stars or what the stars are about. I'm not really sure about that. Also, she's letting me hear railroad, like train. So I don't know if wherever she's at, there's a railroad track, or I mean, I saw there was a railroad track on the other side of like some of those yards over there. You'll see it at the end of the video, but she's saying she could hear the train from wherever she is. So she must be in the corridor of like between the recycling and the train area or something like that. She says she sees things so clearly now. Also something about a ring. So I don't know if she had a specific ring that was passed down or given to her, but she's referencing a ring on her finger. So it feels like maybe a family heirloom or one that was special. And she's hugging like a stuffed animal or a teddy bear. So I don't know if she had a thing with teddy bears, stuffed animals, like kind of like that playful kid at heart sometimes. Like, I don't know if she's one of those people that had like on her bed, they have sometimes stuffed animals because they have that like kid energy, or it's like a specific stuffed animal, but she keeps doing that. She's giving me the purple ribbon for domestic violence. So I don't know if like that was starting to happen and then she was trying to figure out how to get out of it. Because I do feel like that. But again, I feel like she was manipulated into, let me talk to you, everything will be okay. And she was trying to separate from him. That's when it got dangerous. She's like, I should have done it a different way. But I hear the word karmic, so this was karmic ties. If anybody knows anything about her case, she went missing on 111. She went missing from the last place she was seen was 111th Street. That's where I pulled her chart from. She had a 2,011 card. Like, there's a lot of 11s here. That's all these karmic stuff. She's saying karmic. So this is like some kind of karmic entanglement that she had with this guy. But I also feel like, in a way, she's talking about her sacrifice as being part of getting him off the streets, because I feel like he's way worse than people know. Like, there's things he's done and things that he's behind that no one knows about. Again, there's some kind of gang, mafia, underground tie link here with him. He is tied to the underground in some way, to group, to affiliation at some point, and I feel like that's why the serial stuff comes in. And he only shows people, like certain people, you know, who he truly is. I don't know. So that was interesting, because usually I don't get a download like that. But she came in my head, and she's just like, you got to tell him, you got to tell him, you got to bring this up. Okay. So there we go. So after this, enjoy the cards. There's a little bit more psychological information. There's the location area and all of that after this. So, you know me, I like to cross-validate, try to get as much information as possible. That's how I work. Hi guys. So came across this case, and this is going to be the card version. So you would have already heard the auto-write, astrology, everything, and so this is just going to be the cards for a little bit deeper, and it's for some validation for Isabella. Ran across this video, ran across this case and very drawn to it. Read the perpetrator like a book on this one, and I was getting visions last night as I was working on it. So I was like, well, today I'll pull the cards and finish the auto writing and stuff later. So all right. I'm leaving this on because, as you can see, they've been doing this since this morning. I woke up to it. So I don't know. They weren't here last night when I was working on things, but they sure have shown up today. And I've already kind of done the location stuff, so I'm going to leave that for last. It's just going to basically validate. We all know who's involved, and they have the right guy. I'll just say that. And I will tell you what cards I did pull last night for the location. But that'll be later. I just want to go into the deep part of the cards, why, who's involved, all of that. And I mean, like I said, you would have already seen the first part of this reading. So this is just the add-on cards I like to use to validate or pull extra information. This one isn't as confusing as the last one. I don't know why, just the energy isn't as confusing. You can even see the EMF going. And I asked them to come in last night. And I was like, where are you guys? Because they were quiet for a whole day. I wanted them to validate what I was working on with her case. I was working on it until about 4 o'clock in the morning. And they were just quiet. And a couple beeps here and there. But this has literally been going since about, I don't know, I woke up to it. 11 o'clock. The cards are pretty loud with this, and I'm understanding because, like I said, I already did a lot of the work yesterday, and I just have a little more I want to get to. But we have, she was disoriented. So I have a hard time seeing these cards like this. So she was maybe unaware of her surroundings, or at the time, due to what was going on, like kind of unaware of who he really was or what he was capable of when she first met him. And I feel like he showed her two sides. Like, he showed her the side that he wanted her to see a lot of the times, but that didn't mean he didn't show her anger or he didn't show any kind of abuse and neglect, because I feel like that was there as well. But I feel like he hid like how bad he could really be. But this is like being disoriented that day. Not really. I feel like she was tricked in some way. And so, but known to the victim as the perpetrator. There is a silent witness somewhere. I'm wondering about like a male close to him, either someone he knows or his father. We have the hit and run card, and that's just symbolic in this. Like, he did what he did and then he tried to run. Homicide. I'm sorry, guys. She's not, unfortunately, alive. She has a packed 8th house, which I would have already told about. So she literally, he abducted her. And so this isn't an acquaintance because he didn't really know her. Like, I feel like she didn't really know the real him, is what I mean. Like, so I think that there was a distance here. Maybe she was trying to break it off. And he felt abandoned. And so he asphyxiated a female, which is her. She's coming up in the cards. Due to lust and desire. And I feel like he was stalking her, following her. There's an obsessive fan follower. So this is like my stalking card. I don't feel like this was really premeditated up to the point where like I planned it for days, but like maybe that day. But it feels like I planned to meet her, but maybe I didn't plan to attack her really. But there's something that she said or did that upset him. And I think it was breaking up with him. There's a random attack. And that's why I think he's coming as an ex-former partner, is because I think she was breaking up with him. And in her mind and in the energy, she was already breaking up and leaving the relationship. And this is about delusion. The REM pod's going off. So this is about fantasy and mistaken for truth, especially when love, purpose, or justice are disoriented. So this is when his reality bends to belief, logic breaks down, delusion becomes motive. Overkill pattern, which I'll get into that. I feel like there was a weapon involved. I feel like she could have been, unfortunately, sharp force trauma multiple times. I think there's multiple things that happened to her. So this is basically like brutality extends beyond necessity, repetition, and rage, damage, signal personal fury, or contain uncontained emotion. So he let it go. Like, he had anger issues anyways. There's going to be exposure about him. This was protection of oneself, in my opinion. That's what I think that card's about. This was revenge, because I feel like, again, she was probably leaving him. And there might have been somebody else that he was thinking that she was wanting to be with. But this is basically fueled by emotion, and it's calculated and explosive, and it's personal. So the motive behind this is usually betrayal, humiliation, or injustice, revenge. So it seeks balance through harm. Digital footprint by the neighbor. I think there might be a neighbor that has something on their camera or some sort of digital footprint. This is his greed. So he looked at her as a possession. He had this hunger for more of her. And so he's justifying the name of harm. He's justifying harm in the name of gain. Like, there was never enough of her. I feel like we already know that he had I already know he's been arrested. We actually saw this case last week, and I was going to work on it. I didn't get a chance before he was arrested, but that's okay because she hasn't been found yet. And that's, I already turned in a tip for that. But, he looked at her as a possession. And he also was so pissed off that he looked at her as trash. And I'll go into that later. He has major mental instability. There's narcissism here. There's control issues, and I mean like bad narcissism, psychopathic tendencies. There's emotional volatility, psychosis, disassociation. So he didn't have reason. He didn't have any logic. An authority figure is just somebody that uses power, influence to manipulate and conceal. And he has an adult, because he's an adult. Yeah, adult false ally. So this is him again. He is, he misleads, he undermines, he may offer help while hiding his role of who he really is, basically a wolf in past clothing. So poisoning, I think, is symbolic here. Like he's just like a poison, like period. He's just a poison. But there might also be some sort of trafficking that he's into. Not necessarily, like that could be any sort. I'm thinking more like drugs or weapons or something like that. I think he like me and Tracy were talking. We think he might be gang affiliated, but or a group affiliated in some way. So we have online digital contact, manipulated departure. So he could have manipulated her departure to meet him or whatever online, via the phone, via text, whatever that may be. I also see him wiping her phone, and that might be why he threw it in the recycling thing, thinking it would get recycled first. But I think he tried to wipe it first. But what he doesn't know is they can still pull stuff off of that. But I do think that there was some kind of phone call, text, something of that sort that manipulated her departure. Like, can we just talk? I need you to do something for me. Blah, 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 blah. That sort of feeling behind it. And I feel like she was caught off guard, and there might be blunt force trauma. I can't breathe when I connect to her at all. There is DNA. And she was young. She was younger than her. Plus, this is also like youthful energy. It's not always age that those come in as. So he tried to cover it up, of course. That's by moving the car, moving the phone, what he did with her. And I'll go into that. It's going to be very hard to recover. This is, again, about obsession. So obsession distorts perception. It blurs boundaries and drives behaviors in pursuit of control, connection, or fantasy, often at any cost. So he was literally, I think he was stalking her. I really do. He had a thing for stalking, and I just think he has this way of like, once you're mine, you're my possession. Like, I can't let you go. Like, he has that sort of mental instability where things are possession, and when they leave or they whatever, he feels abandoned, and he's like, he becomes kind of obsessed. Outsider. This can come in sometimes as like a different race. He is, I think he's pretty sure he's Mexican or something of that sort. I think she's Native American. So sometimes that can be it, or he could be just like an outsider, like he doesn't really fit in, like, you know what I mean? It can be symbolic in that way. Like not same community background, things like that. It's about power and control. A need to dominate, manipulate, or assert superiority. Control can be subtle or forceful, emotional or physical, but the goal is always the same: reduce others and elevate the self. And then we have neglect. He wanted power and control because he thought that she was neglecting him. Like, she thought she was abandoning him and neglecting him, in my opinion. Oh, a beep. Beaten, anger, rage. Kind of speak for themselves. That's what I mean. Like, I think he might be a part of a group of some sort. Not everything is as it seems, meaning that I think that he's lying. Obviously, he's lying to try to cover his tracks, but there's probably a little bit more to the story. And then a weapon was used, and I think it's a sharp force weapon because of what I was seeing last night. So the first part of the cards. Okay, I'm gonna do one more. I'm sitting on top of my cards. Okay, so we have, if I can get my cards, because Ezekiel's on top of them. We have a weapon. So a weapon was used. Sorry. She was hijacked. Her life was hijacked by, and this is coming in as a spouse, but I don't think they were married as far as I know, but it's just a significant other inside of property, inside of house, inside of location by one person. It's interesting because I think I just noticed I didn't have this card. Secret spouse came in, so I don't know, like, if that's pointing to like another significant other, or I'm not really sure about that. Alcohol burned, I think, is in this instance. I mean, it does come in with the location cards, but it can also be symbolic, like she was literally burned. Like, look at that REM pod go. Serial killer energy, dating, ghost. So, I wonder if, like, I mean, this could be her, but also it's almost like quietly kind of dating. But something happened in a home in the neighborhood. There was assassination, and perversion played a part as well. And it's almost like that if I can't have her, no one else can. She was trying to run away, and she was alive when she was trying to run away. Sexual intentions by a devil. And again, she was headed to work, so that could be this, but also there's a lot of work stuff or familiar places connected to him in the chart and in the other cards. So organized crime, I think he is connected to, although this was an organized crime in a way, but so it can be symbolic, but I think in this instance it's both. I try to remind people that the cards can show past, present, and future, anything surrounding the case. And she was like literally imprisoned. But this is also, he's gonna go to jail for this. So they're gonna do what they need to do to have that happen. I don't really know if we need to pull these, but I just want to just to see. Sure, you're fine, right? Oh, I'm sorry, girl. Kind of just the same cards. Oh, my stomach has got pains in it. Okay, so we have, dude, you're on the cards again. Like, I can't. Move over. So we have assassination. I feel like this is more like she felt a little lost. Home. So assassination in the home by a con man, and law enforcement knows who he is. He's a bad guy. I don't know if there's hidden intoxication, so that can be like symbolic, like she made him intoxicated, but also he could have an alcohol problem because we pulled that already. Again, trafficking is coming in again, and I think it's more possibly drug trafficking or something of that sort. Giant, so he might be tall. I don't really know how tall he is. Drugs, poison. So that's interesting. I think that he actually is an addict of some sort. Crossroad. There was a crossroad when she was alive. Like, he could have made a different decision. That's the way I took that. Aliens is like, again, my different race card. He's a false person, so he's not who she thought he was. Well, okay, I think she kind of knew, but I think he lied about a lot of stuff and still pretended to be somebody that he wasn't. But I do think that's that. Like, again, she was trying to break up with him or leave him. Dating a serial killer, basically. Which he does have a past, but he has that energy, and we don't even know like what else he's done because he's really scary. Neighborhood. It was an organized crime in the neighborhood, but again, I also think he's connected to it. But it was an organized crime in the neighborhood. He's a devil. This was anger, and she was trapped. And then he traveled. And underground is more like secretively. Okay. Not pausing in between because the REM pod's still going off. Okay, so these are some of the cards I made just to go a little bit deeper. I made a lot of them. just keeps coming up. These are like similar to my cards, like that I wanted to make into a deck, archetype card kind of. Which is basically, describing him completely. Rim part is going nuts. I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if okay, so basically we have, I don't know if we need any more for this. So basically we have this basically describes him. So again, we have the serial killer card. Sorry, I just can't turn that off when the REM pod's going off because it's validation and just shows spirits active. So you have the serial killer card, which we've pulled out now every single time. Robber, he's a thief. May have stole other things. I think there's a background there too, but also her life. Literally the jilted lover. Literally obsessive fixer. If he can't have her, then no one will. I just said that earlier. Master manipulator. He manipulates everybody and everything. I think the traveler card came in because he was actually trying to get out of Dodge. Oh, I'm just realizing something. Shoot. Forgot to put that. Oops. Okay. We have accomplice in shadow, and I'm wondering about like his father. I don't know if like he knows more and helped in some way, or someone else did. So he's a hybrid. He's dual mask. He's a mixed archetype. Dual life, dual offender. Dual mask. Devourer, power hungry, trophy taker. So he might have taken something, kept something. but he also is, you know, wanted to take her power away from her. He's a vengeful ex. He's a confuser. Like he's trying to confuse law enforcement by doing what he did and pretending like he doesn't know anything, but he also tried to confuse her, like on who he was, and in a lot of different ways, I think. He's a pretender. He pretends, I remember we talked about this, like he pretends to be someone else. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not the shadow side of Gemini. Be curious when his birthday is. Sexual sadist, betrayer, dominator, control through fear, soul level betrayer, and a shadowed lover. So betrayal was intimate, motive was rejection. I'm telling you, I think she rejected him or was ending things or something of that sort. He keeps coming in as an ex, so I really think that she was breaking up with him. Honestly. Or she thought of him that way, or the relationship was over. Energetically, it's like she wasn't in it anymore. And I wonder if she wasn't like talking to someone else or seeing someone else that he was jealous of. Like he felt like he was losing control of his possession. I'm just wondering. Okay, so we have Fear of rejection. Contracted union, so pressure or obligation, like that's how he felt they were. Weaponized vulnerability. Fake rescue, like I think like maybe it could be that she thought she was saving him, and he probably made her feel that way at some point. We have surface deceiver. We have, again, manipulated again. A lot of manipulation. She was very manipulated in this relationship. Betrayal from within. Abuser. Hidden lover, and this is why I'm wondering if she was maybe talking to someone else. Thinking of loss of control, ex coming back to haunt. See, he keeps coming as an ex. I really think emotionally she wasn't in it anymore, or she was breaking up with him or something to that effect. He would love bomb her in the beginning, and I think he did that a lot. Now, just one more time, let me talk. Dual personality, that already came in. A lot of times. Projection, he would project everything onto her. He's one of those people like, oh, it's all your fault. It's your fault I have to do this. Escalation. Keep looking more under the surface. It was about control, not love. Emotional hostage. Crime was organized carefully. Look away. There's a witness that's looking away. That's why I'm wondering about the dad. If he's not looking away, he knows a little more than he thinks. And secret society group, again, I go back to, was he a part of like a group? And that could be any point in his life. Money matters. Abandonment, fear. Brainwashing. I feel like he tried to brainwash her. Ego wound. It's all about wounding his ego and pride, control. I don't know where that REM pod, man. It took a whole day of rest, and now they're back at it. And I told them, you know, I need your guys' help. They're in cases. They're going to be coming. So that was the first time I've actually used either of those cards that I made, and they seem pretty accurate. I mean, it's just validating basically what I already knew, but they're accurate. I actually like them. Okay. Apparently Ezekiel's the one giving the reading, just taking over. And these are the first time I'm using all of these. Oh, did I use these ones before? I don't know. I made so many decks that I... I don't remember what these cards say. What the heck? This wasn't even the case like I was gonna do next. But sometimes that happens where their energy or the pool gets me before, you know. I was gonna do politics and another one, I think, but I couldn't help it. So So we have victim energy present on the cards, which we already kind of seen. We have jealous obsession, which that's already came in. Slow burn escalation. There was also something that was kind of, you know, building over time. Criminal associate. Surveillance. There's some kind of surveillance somewhere. Emotional maturity. No room on my desk because my cat. Externalization blame. So they made me. So he's blaming her like she made me do it. She would have just done this or been this way. Control fixation. Perv. Psychosis. Emotional flooding. Emotional dependency. Impulse dominance. Stress induced. That's definitely at captivity, which is how she was in the relationship. Resentment, humiliation is how he felt. Oh, my cards kind of went everywhere. Betrayal. Peer involvement. So that could be just somebody that kind of maybe helped. Predatory pattern. Punishment drive. Paranoia. Don't you leave me, you effing bee. That's what I heard. She tried to escape. That's what I think. I think she really tried to leave or break up because he keeps coming in as an ex and he has dissociation with this. Coercion, which makes sense because we already have the manipulated. So it was like he talked her into coming over there and seeing him for some reason or talking to him, or there's just kind of like the brainwashing card, right? The manipulated departure. Narcissistic injury. Old relationship reactivated. I just wonder. I feel like she had met somebody or something, or there's that kind of energy there. Okay, I think that's good for these cards. So I think it's the first time I'm using those ones. These have like our astrology mixed in. And I usually turn this off while I'm shuffling, but because the REM pod's going nuts, I'm leaving it going so you guys can see. It's wild. I mean, I think it does this more than any paranormal place I've ever seen in my life. And I'm surprised more people don't comment on it. It's wild to me. I was actually thinking about her this morning before I woke up, and that's when the REM pod started going off. I find that kind of interesting. I don't use these ones either. My freaking ear is doing that weird pressure thing again. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. This is literally in her chart. So literally in the chart. I need to know what he does for work. If anybody knows if they can find anything on it, I'd love to know, because there's something in his chart. It's like familiar area tied to like work, home space. But we'll go into the area in just a minute, just a bit. The astrology ones are literally what's coming up. He did try to escape. Okay, so we have I'm out of room because Ezekiel's taking over everything over here. Split psyche, paranoia spiral, 12th house emphasis hidden until later. That's there's a 12th house in her chart. She's hidden very well. Capricorn. So this is again, this is long-term concealment as well as industrial or authority controlled. So that's actually in her cards and in her astrology chart. We have the Cancer. It's family property. That's where this probably happened at. Protected, concealed, private, domestic, emotionally charged, which is what this was. And this is actually how he comes in the chart as Cancer. Dionysus, intoxication, loss of inhibition, chaos, ecstasy, and violence. Punishment, fantasy. Gemini, deception, double life, misdirection. That's also what happened. He misdirected with the car, with the phone. And he does leave there is deception here. He does leave a double life. We've already got the duality card before. And he kind of comes in like that in the chart as well. Neptune, deception, confusion, addiction. Altered state, drugs, alcohol, psychosis, Hades, secrets, underworld, dealings, and buried truth. Psyche, mental vulnerability, psychological wounds, mind, body, trauma link. Medusa, punishment for autonomy, silencing, shame, turn lethal. Sagittarius, this one is overindulgent, but also escape or evasion, which he did try to do. And highways is also what this rules as well. Eros, desire, fixation, longing, erotic charge. Martyr complex. No, he had no choice in the matter. He had to do it. Aries, impulsivity, anger, rash actions. I'm just going to pull one more of these ones. Actually, this is the first time I've used these. I was wondering how the astrology was going to, but it literally pulled what's in her chart. That's so nuts. Like you'll see when you listen to that part, it literally pulled what's in her chart. I was curious because I've been wanting to make ones like these, have like asteroids and stuff in them, and they're pretty cool. I like them. Literally, it's crazy because the second house is where he is. In the second house is the perpetrator. Item involved stolen goods, financial motives, but also her as a possession. That's so interesting. That came up like that. I'm gonna have to remake these because look how messy the card is. So this is Libra, so legal or transitional, also disputes. Pretty sure that's a partner related. Can't read. Sagittarian bond, obligation over love, duty turned poison. Karmic tie, past life, long-term binding. And I don't know if you've noticed there's a lot of 11s in her case. Like she went missing on 111. She went missing from the 111th block. She drove in a 2011 car. That's kind of about karma coming back. Like he had a lot of other stuff that he had done. It's almost like she stopped him from hurting other people. But there's a karmic bond there. Again, past life tie, long-term bonding or binding, long-term binding. He had a God complex. He has a God complex. That's also in the card. Oh, Pisces, addiction, delusion, and disappearance. The addiction card keeps coming. That's interesting. So what's interesting is the 8th house coming in because she literally has a packed 8th house, which you do not want to see in a crime chart. But disposal, concealment that is irreversible, active, death-related location, and death events, cause of death, hidden resources, dark secrets. And she literally has Thanatos, death drive, self-destruction. Delayed justice, suppressed truth, resurfaces later. So we won't get the whole thing now, but it will come out eventually. So those end up being pretty accurate too. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's all the ones I made. I really need to... Yeah, I'm just going to pull these really quick, and then I'm going to show you the location cards, which I pulled last night, which pretty much break down what's in the chart. And again, usually you guys don't see me shuffling, but the REM card is just wild tonight. Holy crap. I don't have a lot of room to put these here, so we're gonna have to do it weird. So yes, rebellion. I think she was rebelling again and leaving. We have treason, so he's lying. There's surveillance. So again, with the surveillance card, I know that she was caught on surveillance at a quick trip. But I think there might be surveillance somewhere else. Evil. Strategy, false flag. There might be a false flag somewhere. Something to lead off another direction. There's something with a chain, like the timeline's off. Time change, timeline's off. I just got a headache all of a sudden. The reptilian is always my snake in the grass. Also reptilian in this instance. So secret society again. So again, I don't know who he belongs to. Maybe some kind of group. Or did at some point. It might just still be coming out in the cards. Truth comes out. Ritual war. So maybe this was they fought a lot or something. Control. she was afraid. And he was also afraid, like, fear of losing control. Okay. Unseen danger. There was a warning, some sort, an alarm. That's also a time card for me. Trauma. Lured, again, manipulated departure, lured. She was wanting her freedom. Sold soul. Distraction. That could be where he put the car, where he put the phone, something that he's distracting against. Again, another drug card. This is like a making them, but it can also, it's just another drug card for me. A weird science. There was communication. Paper trail. It can also be digital evidence, but of memories. So, of evidence as well. Inside job. Someone she knew, obviously. Rumors. Cover up what she's trying to do. That's him covering up. Legal proceedings. There will be legal proceedings in regards to this. This is a crime of passion. There is an investigation into the crime of passion. Investigation into incoming message, actually, too. But it can be, you can take these together or apart. Investigation, incoming message. And that incoming message can be like, again, he lured her with something. Gaslighting. Perversion, again. Top secret. Egotism and corruption. That's his corruption. I don't think the police are corrupt in this, but egotism. He was corrupt, trying to corrupt her. There will be justice. They might have to do without a body, but exposed. Justice exposed. Digital evidence. And so it's like justice exposed and digital evidence. So there might be something digitally that ties him to it. I think that might be in the chart too. Sixth sense. Jealousy over being fired. So jealousy over her wanting to leave the relationship. This is him. He's a literal vampire bloodsucker. Staged a few things. Okay. Just a little bit of location cards. So you have in nature, desert, which we're in Arizona, fire, and I'll tell you why I think that that's relevant in a minute. Power supply, vehicle dumped, which it was. Again, buried, burned, and this could be where she is. I'll get to that in a minute. Because you would have already kind of heard it in the chart, but public area, burial, stored, city and school, which literally the street she was last seen on was School Road, Indian School Road. Inside, random area, and there was travel involved, but that can also be, well, I'll let you know in a minute. I'll explain it in a minute when I pull the better cards, because it's more straightforward. Those were just like an extra. I wanted to see what I pulled on those. I forgot to get batteries for that thing today. Private property buried. Knife. School. Literally, I feel like there was a knife used or a sharp object, and literally on the school road. Indian School Road was where she went missing, and that's where he lives. Bones, homicide, so deceased. Homicide, outside. Power supply might be close by. Literally kidnapped or held against her will. Dismemberment. There is something about something being severed in the chart. Road and so taken somewhere, and fire again. So I think that the fire and stuff goes along with where she is. It's almost like he was trying to literally erase her, but I don't think like he put all the work into himself. I feel like. Okay guys, so before this video you would have seen already the summary and all the other cards and the REM pod going off, and it continued to go off till I don't even know, like 2 o'clock in the morning or something, until it died. They ran the battery out. So interesting, but I'm not sure. We'll see if it goes off tonight. I think they're taking a rest, but I am redoing it's the same cards that I originally pulled. I pre-pulled them, but I realized I needed to kind of take a break, sleep on them, understand them a little bit more, and when I did, I realized I needed to re-record them because now they make more sense. So sometimes that's how I work, is I got to step back, think about them, and see how they make sense, and not try to make them fit or anything like that. So now they make more sense, and again, you would have already heard like the summary of it, so you will kind of get it. And I did turn this into law enforcement, and again, I'll go into that before this. So the first card I pulled was literally the junkyard card. So this is, conceal clues, remains, or important items, especially in rural or hidden areas. So this is very significant. So areas like either a junkyard, place where there's scrap metal, place where there's, it can be an old mechanic shop, it could be something like that. Places where they have like barrels and things that can be hidden amongst junk and whatnot. Storage. So this can be any type of storage. It's just a place that can be used to store remains, and the junkyard is part of that. Never left. So this is basically like she didn't leave the location that she was at. Whatever happened, wherever they thought she was going, she didn't leave, which is allegedly the boyfriend. Marsh, wetlands. So remember, whenever we do cards for location, it can be areas on the way or around. It's used to describe the location. Actually, the place I'm looking at does kind of have this, even though it's Arizona. There is wet kind of areas over there, as well as sandy areas. So also can include like wildlife or signs of natural concealment. Work. Now this is a hard thing that I'm having a hard time with. So literally in the chart and in my channelings, it feels like it's a familiar area that he works with, and I would have already gone over this. So this is like he does off books work. I feel like he does mechanic work. He does off books things because of who he is. If he does mechanic work, if he has any associates that tie to any place, so past work, present work, it's an area that he's familiar with that is related to things that he does, employment, task, or obligation. Then we have close to last known location. The area I'm looking with is like, I think 2 to 8 miles, 2 to 7 miles, something like that. So she's not far, and the last location is, I'm taking it off of where the car vehicle was found, where he was living, because that's where I feel it happened. And because when I zoomed in on the 91st Street, I immediately got a headache and didn't feel good. So it tells me that that's kind of, I'm taking it as that was her imprint. And so I don't feel she's far from that area. And again, we have the industrial zone. Industrial zone is all in the chart, all in my channelings. So we want to go to the industrial areas. container. Again, it could be a drum, it could be some sort of container that you could put fluids in, because I feel like, and I would have already kind of explained him wanting to break down the body, making her not be able to be found. And this is all in the astrology as well. So maybe enclosed in a container such as a barrel, suitcase, trash can, or storage bin. Containment may suggest control, concealment, or dehumanization, which is completely how he is. It's about control, it's about dehumanizing. And also, since we have the storage in the container, so it's like container and a storage and the junkyard all seem to go back. The circle back card is interesting. That means I can't breathe all of a sudden. That means they need to circle back to areas that were maybe searched, maybe looked at, where things were found, such as the phone and the car. There may be things that have been missed, but they definitely need to take a closer look at those areas, because there might be something in plain sight that's been hidden that has been missed. And remember, that card actually came in Camilla, and that ended up making a lot of sense, and they circled back to the previous searched areas. So we have the river card. So this is just in the area. There is the Salt River down there. Sometimes there's water in it, sometimes there's not, but it's just a location marker. There's also a park card. I noticed there's a park by where he lives, but also there is actually one by the area I'm interested in as well. So this is an anchor point or a reference point. Remains revealed. So find some of her, but it also is kind of like her remains could be revealed in where I'm describing, like the way that it's coming across. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll find her or find her all, but it's saying that where is in the cards is, yes, that's where the remains are. That's how I'm taking it in this spread. Creek and creek beds, canals, things like that. That's all over there. And again, it's just around the area. A parking lot may be significant as well. Paths and trails. I literally cannot breathe all of a sudden. I was fine a second ago. So there can be paths or trails around her. And there is kind of that all around the junkyard areas, because there's an area that has a lot of sand and stuff around it. Interestingly enough, before I did the miles and direction on the astrology chart, I was actually a little bit further up at the waist area. So yesterday when I originally did this, I was thinking more of like a dump trash location, but it's coming in more when we took a deeper look. It's coming in more like metal, things like that. Actually, junkyard fits a lot better with Capricorn, which she has a stellium in. So moved. So she's been moved or concealed to hinder, discover, alter the story that occurred. So she was moved to the location she's at now. And again, one of those places could also be, again, to in relation to an associate. Sorry, I'm really off. I had a reading before this, and I just want to get her stuff out. Filled in farmland. So this could just be around the area. Just be places that are past. I think there's one actually by his house. So things that come in the card can also be surrounding where whatever happened. Fork in the road. So this is two places, two decisions, a fork. And that can be like her car was in one place, her phone was in another, as well as how I kind of take this. But it's also a key choice, a divergence, or a physical split in the road. Holds clues which way to go. So it could be also he's trying to diverge things. And there was also a choice that was made in a split second. Remote. So it can feel remote, but also it's for purposeful containment, often overlooked. It demands refocused and a deeper exploration. So going back to the circle back card, the remote card is also energetically just a place that maybe you wouldn't think about. A place that it's also hard to reach. So if she was put in a drum with chemicals or something, and if she's among that type of stuff, then it would be hard to reach and isolated. There's a bridge also, so there might be one on the way, but it also can be symbolic of travel routes, water crossings, or hidden drop zones, or also movement. So since she was moved, it could be just moved, or a crossing point. Familiar area. Again, this place is very familiar to him. Either he worked there, had associates there, something of that sort, but he knew it well. Home, friend's house, a routine route or area. Crossroads. So the location may mark a pivotal moment in the case where paths diverged, decision was made, or a victim was last seen. Symbolizes thresholds between life and death and may also symbolize an anchor point. So there could literally be a crossroads, and it can also be symbolic. And then we have burned. So there is like some literal burning energy in the cards or in the chart. And he was trying to destroy. So there could be things that are actually burned. It could be connected to the toxins as well. So it could be literal fire, but also burn things. So it can be symbolic in the way like how chemical burns. But again, there's some burning energy. There is a reference to that in there. Deep burial. So this could be just even like if she's in a container and she's underneath, scraps or whatever. It doesn't feel or seem like it's in water or it's buried like underground. It's more like buried maybe under junk or a place that's hard to reach. It can also signal control and a desire to delay discovery or bury the truth completely. So multiple locations, which makes sense. The car was in one spot, her phone was in another, she's in another. So this is multiple locations. Again, I'm not sure that she's scattered in that way, but I do. This is kind of like she might be partial dismemberment, and then just to like fit in the container of the drum or whatever it may be. But like I feel like again, there's dehumanization here. There's wanting to erase. There's so this is about calculation, emotional detachment, an effort to delay identification, discovery, things like that. Church, so there may be a church nearby, which there is, interestingly enough, a church by where it happened, a church by the area I'm looking at. So that's just can be like an anchor point. Railroad tracks, there's railroad tracks kind of all around there in the area. I think you might be cross there is that reference to in the chart. Trash and dumps, because that's what she was to him at the end. So it's a dehumanization sites where remains or evidence may be thrown away or burned, or it represents discard or disrespect. Okay, so desert. I mean, we're literally in Arizona, so the desert, but there's also like really, really sandy areas over there by where I'm looking at. It's also energy of like isolation or difficult to locate remains, and then unfortunately beyond reach. And I don't even know if they're going to try to find her. I don't even know at this point because they have him, and I think that's what they're focused on if they have enough evidence. So physical form may never be recovered, lost to time, terrain, or intentional destruction. The energy remains. So that was the card I ended on for the location cards. I will show you where I'm looking at really quick. So I'm just going to show you the area that when I followed the astrology and how I was hit today. And so I was interested in it because I was actually there the other day without the astrology. So I'm going to show it to you like this. And then I'm going to show you how the other way the map goes. This is the area, and it's interesting enough, is that I was pulled here yesterday without doing the astrology. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I looked here and I was like, oh, interesting. There's a jail right there. He knows that. That's familiar to him. So I kind of laughed it off. And so this is the area I'm looking at. because I know her phone was found by a recycling center. That's not why I was looking here. It's just where we ended up yesterday because we were going by the sand and the water and all of that. And this is junkyards and stuff all surrounded by that. But then when I plugged in the astrology, that I went from her car. So I pulled a chart for her car and I went that way. And actually, I got stuck here yesterday. And I always get a headache in this whole area. So going from the house, it leads me over here. But going from her car, it leads me the same place, just further up. And this is a recycling center right here. There's waste management. And then, like, there's all kinds of junkyard areas around here, like a lot. Like, this is a total Capricorn corridor right here. All of these junkyards. So I don't know if he had, if he could get to a junkyard, if he just, like, kind of placed it by the fence, you know, if it's, like, if he knows somebody due to his dealings around here, how easy it is to get to it. But I'm getting a headache again here. So I don't know if the headache and the way that I feel has anything to do with her. It seems to, but I mean, I also feel energy imprints of places. So considering that it's a dump and whatnot and a jail, you know, I could just be picking that up. But this is where the astrology goes. So, I mean, I've already turned it in as far as obviously not near the jail or anything, because that would be pretty brazen, but I'm just wondering if he has, like, any associates over here that, you know, I mean, look at all, like, the junk in the junkyard and everything. Like, if he has any associates or whatever, or it could be placed, you know, near a fence, or I'm not really sure. Oh, there's railroad tracks there. Interesting. I was looking for railroad tracks. Okay. I didn't see that yesterday. So yeah, this is the area that I'm looking for. So just wanted to show you guys that. And yeah, I don't feel good here. And I don't feel good up where his house is either. And I always want to get pulled down. And I was feeling that way before I figured out all this, where all the junkyards and industrial areas are. And that's very strong in the chart. So crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So if I feel like I need to refine or tap back in, I'm pretty sure that's the area we're looking for. I'm pretty sure that's what we're looking for. Just going from everything the card said, everything the chart said, everything the channeling said, everything I felt. This is a lot clearer than the last case, and you would have already heard about that also in the very first part of this video. So if you hung through for this long, thank you. I appreciate you. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you leave a nice comment. And I mean, hopefully this helps in some way. Like I said, I don't know if she'll ever be recovered. I've done the best that I can. So I didn't really tip it into the correct. I tipped it into the police email for Avondale. That's where they said to do it. They said to do it. Everything else is phone calls, and you know how that is. So I just did that and told them they could forward it or whatever. That's what I feel comfortable with. So knowing the type of guy he is and everything, I mean, it makes sense to me. And again, the chart link's heavy Capricorn. So, all right, that's it. Thanks, guys.